All right, my name is Joseph Seiler, and this is my Course 3 project for the Duke AI Specialization, following up on the same project I did in Course 2, which is a fast pass for military bases to facilitate folks getting on base. So, project overview, I'm going to go through the task analysis, the user experience design, privacy considerations, and ethical considerations. So, for task analysis, the problem is that it's just slow to get on military bases. The entry procedures take a lot of time. They're also manpower intensive. Essentially, every time you try to get on a military base, a human being has to check your ID, check your car, see if there's any passengers in there, and then once they scan your card on a system, then they give it back to you, and then they allow you to get in, which is slow compared to what is available in terms of commercial solutions. Um, One of the major reasons they do it this way is they want accountability for the system, and if there is some incident, they want to be able to trace it back to a person, and you really just can't tolerate anybody getting through the system. So the key task is getting registered users through the base gate quickly while preventing any unregistered passengers and any unauthorized entry. We just can't tolerate any failures in the system. And so the actual task analysis in terms of what users experience today is that they turn off of a major highway to an access road for base. They get in line, and then users and any passengers submit to identity verification. They roll down their window. They hand over their military common access card or a visitor pass, and then that is checked by a human being. Often they scan it into a system, and then they wait several seconds, sometimes as long as a minute, and then they hand that card back to them, at which point the users are granted or denied entry, and then they proceed on base if they're granted that entry. So it causes a lot of traffic delays and frustrations. Where I think we can expedite the system is in that second and third step, such that users turn off of a major highway, they go through a very expedited process, and then they are very quickly allowed to proceed on base if, in fact, they are registered. So, how do we do that in terms of their experience with a well designed system? Well, I would have them register their vehicle information, including object recognition of their vehicle, so not just the license plate and details about the vehicle, but actually having a scan of the vehicle for ML to recognize it, then their card information, and then facial recognition within a FastPass based system. And then at that point that program representatives could be available to answer any questions and alleviate privacy concerns, which I'll talk about in the next sections. But once verified, the user data would be uploaded to the secure system for inclusion in the FastPass system, and then at that point they could utilize it, and the system would perform facial recognition, and then it would recognize their vehicle, and at that point the user's identity is verified, and they get the green light, and they just keep going. And so that could happen to numerous different vehicles at once instead of a one by one ID check. In order to do this, the system would need to maintain a database that includes all of this information. This is beyond normal military requirements, which typically don't track vehicle details or scan military members' vehicles or have any facial recognition. I would propose that the system be voluntary to prevent any type of compulsory compliance. And then, even with that, users should sign a privacy notice where they know their rights and that they are allowed to disenroll and have their data removed at any time. So, really, once they register, it's when they can ask questions. There's a human in the loop at that point, and then they can see, okay, this is designed to help you. It's not designed to invade your privacy unnecessarily. At that point, data should be secured and managed by military members directly to enforce proper utilization only. This would prevent data breaches, giving our data to like companies or contractors, which may or may not have reputations that people feel comfortable with, and so they know they're handing to another military member this information. And then I would encourage regular auditing from objective external sources to ensure adherence to proper procedures. In terms of ethical considerations, I would anticipate not encountering much in terms of bias because would eventually be available to all military members as soon as it works. It's been tested. Everyone should get access equally. However, accountability could be a major concern if functional issues arise. People start blaming whoever they happen to see, be it a gate guard or security forces member, when it's not that person's fault if the system doesn't work. So that would be a problem. The best way to alleviate that, I think, would be to start with an iterative rollout where you have early adopters to make sure the system works and to slowly make it an option so that trust in the system can be earned and people say, hey, that system is working. It's really cool. I want to be a part of it. And that voluntary participation is key. You've got to anticipate the fallout. If there were infractions, they would be publicized quickly and sensationalized. Oh, the system sucks. We hate it. It's terrible. And so you want to get ahead of that and resolve those things quickly so that you have a good reputation, because all it takes is one or two incidents and then people start to lose trust very quickly, whereas they expect it to work, right? So leaders will need to receive clear outcome metrics and explanations to understand the system, and we need to acknowledge its limitations and any issues that arise. Having program representatives available to train administrators, and to help people register the system gives them that human in the loop, so that can alleviate their concerns. They can ask questions and choose whether they want to be part of it. So, addressing all three of the ethical considerations in terms of fairness, all military members and registered users would be allowed access. So that's the goal. Accountability. Human in the loop, as I've talked about, would help, especially during registration, then having someone to talk to if they ever encounter issues. And then transparency, signing that privacy policy, voluntary registration so people don't have to rush into the system. They can take their time and get comfortable with it before they use it, roll it out slowly, and eventually it becomes the standard, the more effective means, and starts to help us get onto base quicker, get to work quicker, and have an expedited way to do that. All right, that's everything for this project. Thank you very much for your time. Appreciate the review.